Hey guys, it's Kiera and I'm coming back to you with another video. Since it's back to school time, I've decided that I would like to do a story time for you guys. As you can probably tell by the title, it's a story time about the time that I had a fashion club and it went very wrong. So to premise the story, I'll have to start back when I first learned that I could start one. Sophomore year of high school, I took a class that was called Interior Design, and the teacher really wanted us to explore different career options because, you know, sometimes it feels like all your schools want you to do is go into engineering or math or something like that. So she brought in an advisor from the school called FITM. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go here because I loved their presentation. And one of the ways to get scholarships to go there is if you start a fashion club. And me being the person and the go-getter I am, I decided why not? So fast forward a year, I'm in junior year now, and this is the first day or first few weeks of school. I decided I'm gonna start a fashion club. So I did. It was kind of a process at the school I was at in junior year. I didn't fully get to run it ever, but I did start it, so that was really cool. So for the second half of junior year, I changed schools and I didn't start a fashion club at that school for the rest of junior year. I thought I would figure out where my place is in the school and that I would figure out their workload because I heard it was more rigorous than the high school I'd been at before. So then senior year rolls around. I have all my papers done. I've got everything ready to just hand it into our administration and sign their paperwork so I could have a club. And this works kind of okay. The secretaries at the main office at my new high school, they're awful and they're rude to me about starting a club. They're like, why would you want to start a fashion club? They're being condescending. It just makes it kind of an awful experience, but I'm like, whatever. It's gonna be worth it in the end. I'm gonna have a great fashion club. I'll show them. They approved my club basically the day before our club fair, which really sucked for me because I had a job at the time. So I was working basically every single day of the week, and I had a bit at late nights to do my homework, and then it was just kind of not convenient for me for them to tell me the day before. So I stayed up all night basically making this poster for the club, and I bring it in the day of. I go down and I set up all my stuff at the club fair. People come around, they're like, what, we have a fashion club now? They come around, they sign up. I'm like, oh, this is like great. Like, people are gonna actually join fashion club and it's gonna be so cool. And my advisor comes and she's like, be wary because people might not show up to the fashion club. They might say they will, but they might not. This happens every year. And I was still hopeful because, you know, you don't want to be a pessimist, especially when other people are doubting you. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should be wary, but it's fine. So the first day of my club comes around, I get candies, I decorate the room where we're having the club meeting, all nice. I have my whole presentation about what I want to say to them to make them stay, and my allotted number, 10 people, they all show up, or around 10 people show up. I don't remember the exact number, but they show up, I sign them up, and yeah, we're good to go. We're good to almost send in my papers to FITM that I can be official with them. As weeks go by, different dramas arise. Like one time, my advisor had to step out, and actually this happened a few times. My advisor had to step out of the classroom because she was going to print papers for her class, whatever. At my high school, you know, teachers, your advisor, if you're non-curricular, which we were non-curricular, they couldn't be involved in the club. And I was like, fine, it's cool that she steps out because she can't be involved anyway, so like, why keep her here and make her not be able to do what she has to do? So this parent at the time, she was sitting in just because I guess she was waiting for her daughter after school and she'd rather wait inside than outside, which is understandable, but we had to basically stop it because this parent started complaining to the school board, which we're already not liked by the school board. She complains to them and says, I don't think they have an advisor. Why are they by themselves in the room? And so, yeah, the administration comes and complains to me, and I'm like, I don't know why she said that. We always have an advisor in there, and if she does leave, she leaves for like 2 seconds, like, I swear. So then October rolls around, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm stressed out because I really need to turn in these papers by December, and the guy hasn't even like signed the papers yet or talked to me about them. So I'm meeting with him frequently, asking about it, saying, here are the papers, here are my code of contact, here's basically all the papers you need to sign and what I've written on them, and sign them and give them back to me. The first copy I gave him, I never get that copy back. And it was like my copy, and this is around the time where I was like, okay, so now I need to start photocopying every single paper I give out because my administration won't give it back because they're jerks. Like, they were actual jerks. I'm so angry about it still. And this guy lies to me for months about it. He says, oh yeah, I'm talking to the BOE. So around November, when I still haven't heard anything back, I email the BOE and I'm like, hey, so my administrative activities guy has said that he has talked to you and emailed you about these papers and he hasn't heard anything back from you. Can you guys give me an answer? Do you guys know anything about this? And they say, actually, we haven't heard anything, like nothing about your club. And I'm like, so when I'm literally so angry, and I'm like, okay. So I basically march myself into there because this is my last semester of high school. I was just like, they can't keep me because literally they have all my credits. Like, what are they gonna say? Kierrah's an awful person. She's gonna stay. Like, the most they're gonna do is suspend me, but it won't matter because it's my last. Like, it doesn't matter. I walk into his office and I'm like, so I emailed them and they said that they haven't heard anything about this. And he's like, at that moment when I marched in there, he's like, no, I'm not sending them. I emailed FITM and I'm like, guys, I'm like, help me. And they're like, throughout this whole process, throughout the whole fashion club process, FITM has been so amazing and I can't thank them enough. Like, they're just the most helpful people ever. And they were like, you know what, it's fine if he doesn't sign it, he just has to write a letter to us. And I'm like, thank you. And so he writes the letter and I get a copy for my own documents of the letter because I'm like, I don't trust you. And I send it over to them. And then a few weeks go past and it seems like everything's cool. And then my advisor comes up to me and it's just upsetting. But she comes up to me and she's like, I'm gonna have to not be your advisor anymore. And at this point I'm like, I mean, why? Everything's going great. And I don't understand. And she's like, you're asking me to do too much. I didn't say this to her, but in my mind I'm just like, no, you literally just have to sit here after school. And I know that could be a burden, but I feel like there's nothing you can't get done at home that you can't get done at school. So I'm just kind of devastated at this point because I don't know any other teachers because I just moved to this high school and I don't know anyone, so it's really hard. And so basically the night that my advisor told me that she wouldn't be able to be our sponsor anymore, I basically emailed all the teachers in the school and none of them emailed me back, and so I was a bit stressed. I was really stressed at this point because this is a scholarship on the line and I still needed to turn in all my papers, and I was dead set on going to FIT. I'm dead set. At the next meeting, I'm like, guys, our advisor has dropped us and I don't know about anyone else who would want to pick up our group. And I just basically ask everyone to tell me who I should contact because I don't know. So a few weeks go by, maybe even a month, and I hear back from one of our club members and she's like, yeah, I have another teacher who would love to just sit in. So I go and meet with her and I'm like, hi, I had an advisor but now she's not my advisor anymore, so could you be mine? And all you have to do is sit in here, you don't have to do anything. It's basically just a job, you just sit here. It's cool. And she's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And she signs off to be my advisor. And yeah, she signs the FITM paperwork and we're good. So my first semester of senior year being the FITM Fashion Club president is done. and all I have to do is second semester. Problem is, I graduated early, so I'm not really a student of the school, but I am like in a weird loophole way because I haven't graduated yet. This is when all the problems arise, when I'm not in school, when people can just feel like they can bully me. Problems had arose from first semester. First semester we decided to do fundraising with the craft fair parents, I don't know, people, and I thought that they were not part of the school so we could fundraise. And I thought we could fundraise in the school if it wasn't during school time. In second semester, they tell me January, you get the money. So January rolls around and I'm like, where's the money from fundraising? And I email a few people, they're like, we're talking to the bookkeeper, we don't understand what's going on. At this point, they tell me that we're not going to get the funds at all because we are not a school club and they can't give it to us and we shouldn't have been fundraising at all. And that they also didn't know that we were participating in this and we don't get any type of compensation, any type of reimbursement, just they're not going to give us money. If the craft fair was ran by the school, tell me why they wouldn't have a list of approved groups that were allowed to be in it. Like, tell me why the school wouldn't look over the list of people participating in it and be like, wait a second, that looks kind of fishy to me. Like, tell me why they wouldn't do that. So after this incident with all the money, I'm really upset, obviously. But, like, I couldn't do anything about it because it was, like, I was just like, ugh. And, yeah, I was like, So I just decided to move on. I'm like, we'll partner with this one company. So partner with Route 21 for a second to see if they'd like to help our club do a fashion show. And the guy says yes, and he needs to contact his district people. And so I don't know if he ever contacted them, but we never heard anything back, and it was just like a really like long shot. And throughout all this, fashion club's doing stuff, like we're having different activities, and we're like, I'm trying to keep my head above water. Like, we did a photo shoot for this online magazine, I can link it down below, and everything's great and stuff, but like with the club. But to add insult to injury, the principal he emails me and he's like, I've contacted all of my employees to not contact you at all. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because you've been disrespectful, because you emailed one of my staff members as Williams, not Mr. Williams. And I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm like, yeah, but he emailed me with my first name, Kierrah. He didn't email me Miss in my last name. And he's like, yeah, but he's an authority. You should have emailed him Mr. Williams. And I'm like, okay, like, and then he's like, and also your language in this email was very condescending. And I was like, all I said was, I stated the rules to him, and I asked him if he could define them for me. And he couldn't, he didn't do that. Well, bringing it back, he didn't do that to me. And so he's like super angry at me, and I'm like, so basically your whole issue with me not being able to contact any of your employees is because I addressed him wrong. And so I'm like really annoyed by that. And I'm like, cis white men, if they don't have an authority issue, I don't know who does, because literally I was so angry about this. At like graduation said, our school is so diverse and we just have so much activity, so many things, everyone is welcome. And I was like, why wasn't my club welcome? Like literally administration blocked every single thing I tried to do. And I've wanted to talk about this so long. I'm just so angry at them. But also I'm like, I'm starting a new chapter in my life and I'm gonna join new clubs and be better than them and their pettiness. Having to put down a student that goes to their school just to feel better about themselves. I've learned a lot from this. Number one, I've gained a lot of business skills. I've realized that the workforce can be similar to what I just experienced, like with the amount of discrimination I experienced. And although I didn't outline every single thing that happened, senior year with my fashion club was just so annoying. I loved having a fashion club, and I loved being a president of a club, and I loved all the benefits it gave me, and I loved that it brought diversity to our school and brought people together, but I hated the way that I was treated by people who thought they were superior. I'm thankful that I only had 1 year there, well, yeah, basically 1 year there, and that I don't ever have to deal with that school ever again because they were the worst people I've ever met. So, thank you for watching this ranty story time. Tell me down in the description if you've ever started a club or if you were thinking about starting a FIDM fashion club. Hopefully this doesn't just deter you from it. I know a lot of fashion clubs that have done some great things, some beautiful like fashion shows, and I wish I could have been one of them, but as you've probably heard, as you've listened throughout this video, you've heard that my school basically blocked me from every single thing I wanted to do, and it made it 10 times more difficult to accomplish anything. And I spent basically my whole presidency battling it out, but hopefully you guys had better experiences if you own or have a fashion club. And if you're starting one, please start one. I think they're a great addition to any school, especially if your school doesn't have or offer any creative or fashion or like design type of classes at your school. I think this is great because you get to explore design, and FIDM is really helpful. Like, they send you a starter kit, and if you can look up a few videos. They send you a starter kit and they include like pencils and stickers and all these cool things to get your word out about your club and to do different things with your club. And so I encourage you to start a fashion club. Thank you for watching. See you next week. Bye.